So I'm Chelsea Lake. I'm the founder of Lake Design and Strategy. So I have a web design and development company that I've been running for the last 5 years. And I also have Get Booking, which is a software, and it's built for wellness companies, spas, yoga studios, that kind of thing. And it's appointment booking software. And I've been running that for about 1.5 years now. So it's really new and really cool. So Lake Design creates custom plugins built on PHP. We build WordPress websites. So that would just be kind of like the basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that kind of code. While Get Booking is a little more intense. It's built on Laravel and Vue. So we have like a nice kind of spread of all the kinds of different tech you can do. We do videography, we do logos, we do graphic design. We do a little bit of everything. So I'm gonna introduce you a little bit to my backstory and just like how I got into tech, because it's very relevant to everything that I'm about to go over with you guys today. So I started in Toronto. I was living there by myself and going through microbiology. That was my degree. I was trying to find a job to pay for my master's. I wanted to go to med school, as we all do at that age for some reason. And I decided that I would get this job as a salesperson running this chat bot for a kind of chop shop website design company in Toronto. So really all that entailed was like I would go online, answer their conversations, tell them how much a new website would cost, tell them kind of who their project manager would be. They gave me like a 2-page PDF being like, if they ask this, answer this. And that was supposed to help me do my entire job doing this. So that was like my first kind of foray into anything technical. I had 0 experience in design, 0 experience in tech. I have never even really touched a website before in my entire life before this point. So getting into that job was eye-opening in that I actually kind of liked it. I liked design and I liked IT a little bit. So starting there was good. And then one day, so this was about 6 years ago now, that earthquake in Nepal happened, if you guys remember that, at Mount Everest. My designer on this team I was working for was from Nepal. So their internet went down. He was okay, but all our projects kind of got stalled. We had a huge project due. It was kind of a bit of a big deal if I missed it. So I decided, for the first time ever, to open up Photoshop and try to finish this website. And it probably took me 20 hours, what I could do now in less than 20 minutes. I couldn't even make a rectangle gray, which literally took me 2 hours. I'm not joking, I remember this like it was yesterday, because that is crazy. But it's true. So then I just got through it, and I realized like I loved doing this. I loved it. Like creating designs, making something beautiful is an amazing feeling. And I never felt that when I was doing my science degree. It was good, but it wasn't that good. So I thought, okay, I'll just keep working my way up. I'm gonna try and get a job and development. I'm going to keep pushing, but this was a little chop shop spot. They weren't creating masterpieces. They were kind of just getting them in and out as fast as possible. So what I did next was I told everyone in my life, I want a job as a web designer. I'm a web designer now. Surprise. Was I? I don't really know. Probably not. So I reached out to everyone I knew, and I told them this is what I was doing. And my little brother, his boss, whose name is Ed, is a construction worker. He told his friend at church, whose name was Phil, that I was looking for a job. And Phil had a company called Lift Media, and he worked with some like famous authors and amazing writers and just like fabulous people. And I wanted to work with him. So I made a deal that I would work for $10 an hour to start. And if he actually liked what I could do, then he had to pay me more and I would get a job. So that's kind of how it started. So after the first 2 weeks, he said, okay, I can't pay you $10 an hour anymore. I'm just feeling too guilty. You have a job. And he bumped me up to 20 bucks an hour, which was great. So from that point, I got one of the most amazing mentors I've ever had in my life. He taught me everything I know. He accelerated the growth of what I'm capable of from like something that should have taken me 15 years to get to a point, it took me 3. And that is the power of having a mentor and someone in this space who's got your back and wants to teach you. You can excel your career exponentially. So all this to say, my first 3 points all have to do with the story I just told you, which we can go to number 1. You have to start somewhere. And by the way, since you're all here now and I see all your faces, I am creating homework for everybody. And you're all gonna do it, and you're all gonna email it to me, and we're all gonna be friends after this, whether you like it or not, I guess. So starting somewhere, find a company you're interested in working for and offer to work for them at a cost that's less than what you think you should be paid. This is how we get started. Sometimes it doesn't feel the best, but it's good to do because they'll see your potential. If they want to invest in you, they will. This is the easiest way through the door. Yeah, you can go on job boards and you can fill out those ads and you can try and get into your interviews, but what really matters is they want to see that you care, that you're willing to bet on yourself. And if you do that, then they're going to see something different than they see in everyone else. It works for me, so I'm putting it at the top. So starting at the bottom. So this means like, okay, maybe you guys you haven't finished your courses yet, you haven't gotten through your JavaScript code camp, boot camp, but doesn't mean you can't start in a company that you want to work up to be doing that there. Start at the bottom. Be the assistant to the CEO. Find a customer service role where you can start answering people's questions. It will teach you what it is people are looking for on their websites. It will make you a better designer and developer as you go. And then working for exchanges. So if you don't have a portfolio yet, if you don't have anything to show for yourself, not yet, which who does when you first get started, do work in exchange for things like testimonials or free advertising. Maybe they're gonna shout out to you on social media a couple times a month. Maybe they give you something to put on your website or a really good reference if you're applying for a job. So that is your first bit of homework for step number 1. What's a business in Charlottetown you love? Maybe they could use a new website, a new logo, new branding guide. Anyone have anything that pops into their head? You can go to the next slide, Jonah. The pilot house was mine, so I still do this, like every 3 months. I'll find somewhere in Charlottetown. I was going to have lunch with a client at the pilot house. I was making a reservation. I got on their website. I couldn't use the menu button. Nothing was like clicking anywhere, and it like made me so mad. So I emailed them, and I was like, listen, you need a new website. I will help you build this. I want to do it for you. It's going to cost you money. I'm not giving myself away anymore. But if I didn't have anything yet, if I was starting where I was starting 6 years ago, I would say, can I do this for you? And you give me a testimonial. And he was really receptive. He emailed me back the next day and he said, hey, you're right. I don't like the way the website's working. Let's talk about it. And it was really simple. It was that easy. He trusted it. He just wanted to see that I cared. So how do you guys feel about doing something like this? What does that make you feel when I'm like, okay, the first thing I want you to go do is think of somewhere in Charlottetown that needs a new logo, that needs some help. Just talk to them. Just be like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. What do you think? Will you give me a testimonial? Would you do it? Not everyone's shaking your heads. Yes. Yeah.
We have some students in like business administration or accounting and not necessarily like design. And
who are those students?
How does that apply?
Back here.
We have 2 over here.
For getting your first job in business administration. So say like an assistant role or something like that, because I'm thinking about it from getting your first job point of view. Yeah?
I have like a place. I feel like Thai Express and Macy's and you. Because when you call them, they gas station, like petrol gives you their number. It's never like them directly. I'm just like, why don't you have your own number?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There you go. Find a problem, solve the problem. That's all we need to do. All right, and as I move forward, I'll give more examples for the business admin side of things. Okay, number 2, using your network. So out of every single thing that we're going to talk about today, if there's only one thing you will listen to me on and care about, it is this. This is the only thing that matters. It's great to have good skills. You could be the best designer and best developer in the world. It does not matter. If you do not have a network, unfortunately, like, it is who you know and who you're willing to talk to and how you're willing to put yourself out there. That's what it's all about in every single way. So every job I ever got, every client I've ever had, it's because someone else referred them to me, someone else talked about it, because you just have to always be out there, always talking, always promoting yourself all the time. So be present on social media networks that have the same kind of people doing what you're doing. If you're a developer, you need to have a GitHub profile. If you're a designer, you should be on Behance or you should be on Dribbble. Talk to your friends and family. This is how I got my very first job that really skyrocketed my career. I told my little brother about something, he told his boss, who told his friend at church. And that's really how it works. 50% of all jobs in IT, they don't get posted. They don't get listed. No one will ever know about those jobs. They just go to friends and family. People ask around. No one wants to go through hundreds of applications to find your application. So the only way to get that is by talking to people and putting it out there every chance you get. Every conversation you have, just put it out there. Oh, by the way, I'm a web designer looking for work, or I'm a web developer and I'm looking for this kind of job, or I'm in business admin and I want to do this kind of thing. Asking people out for coffee, networking in real life. You guys are doing that right now. You're here. You're meeting me. You're going to tell me what you want in your life. I'm going to tell other people. They're looking for people to hire. That's exactly how it works. That's it. That's all there is to it. So my piece of homework for this one is, do you have a LinkedIn profile? And is it up to date? You can go to the next one, Jonah. So the next piece of homework I want you to do is go on your LinkedIn and fill it out in its entirety. I can't pull up mine on here. I was going to do that, but that's okay. And really what I mean by this is LinkedIn is your online living resume. This is where everything that any recruiter wants to know about you is going to see what you're putting out there. So this needs to be up to date. I get 500 hits on this a week. People are constantly reaching out to me on LinkedIn. This is just how you get attention online now. Instead of people putting out job postings, instead they're sending it to recruiters. They're sending it to people like Daniel, and he's finding the right people for the jobs. So filling this out is great. There's a place now to put your featured projects. There's a place where you can put in your skills, and everyone in this room can endorse each other's skills to make sure that, you're bumping each other up. Just create a group and do something like that. So that's the next bit of homework for everyone here. And I'm going to follow up on all this, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, number 3, mentors. So when I found Phil, he really decided to take me under his wing and teach me everything he knew. And this is very important. While we can learn by ourselves, we're not going to grow unless we have people that have been there, done that, so we don't have to make the exact same mistakes that they made. It takes away years and years of mistakes to get to the point where we can just be really good at what we do really quickly. So you need to find someone that you not idolize, but someone that is doing exactly what you wish you were doing right now. Who's that person for you on the island? That you look at them and you're like, man, I really wish that I was doing exactly what they were doing. And whoever they are, ask them out for coffee. That's homework number 3. Not something that is what? Is what?
What if what you're doing or what you're trying to do is not something like
Like what?
2D animation?
Well, yeah, there's not a lot of 2D animation, but there's lots of people that do 2D animation. Taraka does 2D animation. Yeah. So there's people here. And actually, he just did I think he did the hair in Brave for Disney. He's on PEI. Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah. So anyone that you can imagine, they're here, they're hiding. There's famous comic book artists here that did Spider-Man. There's people that work on Disney movies on PEI. You just they're just not talking about it, but they're out there. Yeah. So if you want to find that person and you want help finding that person, just email me. Say, this is the person I'm looking for. I will send you to that person. Yeah, sweet. Nice. So that's homework number 3. You can go to the next one, Jonah. Keep it short and sweet. Hi, person I want to know. My name is Chelsea, and I do this. I follow your work, you inspire me. I want to sit down and ask you a few questions about how you got started and what you're working on. Would Friday at 8:30 work for you? Coffee's on me. Don't say anything like, if you don't want to, it's okay, or if you don't have the time, don't worry about it. Don't say that. Don't do it. Be confident. Say, I want to meet you. Would this time work for you? 8:30 is a good time because work starts at 9. Friday is nice because people don't usually have meetings on Fridays, or we try not to. And this is really the best time you can do it. Try to go early in the morning. The people that you generally probably want to talk to about this stuff are getting up at 6 a.m. anyway, so it really just shows that you're driven and you want to get on the same page with them. And when you're having that coffee, treat it like a job interview. Be really professional, have questions ready, be interested in what they're doing, share about yourself, but make it about what you want to learn from them. A really good thing I like to do when I do this, and I do it once a month so that I can meet every single firm on PEI that does what I do, so that I can make these connections and then get work with them, is I ask them what books they're reading. And then they tell me, oh, I'm reading this really great book called The Lean Startup, and it's helping me learn about cash flow in this area. And I'll say, awesome, I'm gonna go buy that book. And then I read it, and then that gives me what I need to follow up with them and have that conversation and be like, oh, I just read this thing. Do you want to get coffee in a month again and catch up? So it's just a good way to start building that relationship. And that relationship is going to get you jobs right there. This is what's going to get you a job. This. Skills are important, but if you go to the next one, Jonah, you can see it's number 4. This is the 4th one down the list. Competition is fierce. There are so many people that are doing what we do. But it really doesn't matter as long as you know the right people and you're making an effort to put yourself out there and connect with those who will help you find the right jobs. It really is all about that. So how can you learn these skills? I'm sure a ton of you guys already know this stuff. Getting a degree. Who here is getting a degree in computer science or has done something similar? Awesome. What do you want to do?
Anything that doesn't involve me working in sales.
That's a good answer, I guess, yeah. Well, you have lots of options on PEI then. Yeah. Who has ever done one of those online code academy boot camp type things? Yeah.
That's paying for another school. I don't really know why I would want to do that.
I guess because you don't have to do them all.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I am in the process of getting a degree, so that's why it looks that kind of way to me. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Is anyone self-taught, completely self-taught? Nice, Redden. Nice, yeah. That's sweet. What about with the design? Anyone do Photoshop course, or did you just break into it and start learning? Yeah. And I feel that's just kind of the way it is with us creative types. We just break in. So there's tons of courses out there. certifications you can get online that will help you on your quest to get a job with an employer. If you go to the next one, Jonah. Tons of online courses. So, there's a advanced Photoshop one. It's only like $19 right now. It's 24 hours of content.
You know what I mean? It's like, I might be an addict. Like, they hit me up and they're like, oh, this is on sale. I'm like, oh, that's the price of a coffee, and then I'm paying for it.
Smart, though. Good marketing. Code Academy, that's a great one if you want to learn how to code and build websites. Vue School, if you're like, I want to learn how to do Vue.js and code in front end. This exists across the board for like every coding language you could possibly imagine. So if you're looking to build up your skills, start taking one of those courses. Just put in like 2 hours a week even. Start with that and grow your skill, because that way you're making yourself more relevant to the people that will employ you. You can go to the next one, Jonah. So your homework. Who has a portfolio in this room if you were going to go apply for a job? Nice. Yeah, that's like half. That's excellent. Would you say that you have like 1 to 3 projects? It demonstrates your IT skills or your graphic design skills. Yeah, I'm looking at you because you're talking to me, so that's great.
I actually have 2 out there, because right now I'm in school. I don't really have a specific field in computer science I want to specialize in. So I've done everything, the works. I've put my hand in everything. So I generally have like a portfolio for all sorts of stuff. So I don't really know how to answer that.
That's okay. Where does your portfolio live? If you had to show an employer, would you send them a link to a website, a PDF? What does it look like? That's good, though. That's why it's your homework. Because we got to do that. We got to make that happen. We have to have a place where if we're applying for a job, we need to show them, this is what I've done before, this is what it looks like, here's how to get there. This is very important, even if it's just 1 or 2 projects. Because that's all I really care about when I'm interviewing someone, too. I want to meet them, I want to hear about their experiences, and I want to see 1 to 2 things just to know that they've tried it and they've done it and they're showing me. So if it's your very first project you're ever doing, you can do something fake. You can just be like, Moose Jaw Lodge in Alaska, I've created this logo for them. They're this great cabin company. Perfect. Create that, put it in your portfolio, and when you go to your job interview, show them this. Great. If you already have one, show the company something you could do better for them. So something I love to do, and people have done for me, is they come to me and they show me something I could be doing better with my website, or something that would make my processes smoother at my company with Get Booking, with Lake Design. If they come in and say, hey, I love your booking app, have you thought of doing this? I can tell that they've put the time and thought into reviewing my product, they know what it is, and they've come in and they've decided, I'm going to solve a problem for you even before you've even hired me. This is such a good way to get hired. You're already telling them you can do the job before you've even been put on payroll. So find something about the company you want to go work for, pick something out and show them that you can solve their problems before you even get in the door. So an example of this for me is Donuts by Design. This was just like a really cute project. I really wanted to make a Build-A-Box feature where you could pick what donuts go into your box. I thought that was so fun. It was really expensive to build, and I really wanted them to build it. So what we decided to do is just build it anyway and hope that they would buy it. It's just a way to be like, hey, I'm showing you I can do this, and you can use it too. So this plugin, which we built for fun, ended up being used by like 10 different companies on PEI for the exact thing. So something that I was like, this solves a problem, I'm going to build it, turned out to be one of our biggest money makers because other people also needed it to solve their problems. So really, thinking about it like that, if you go into any job looking to solve a problem, you're going to probably solve a lot of people's problems. And I guess this helps if you want to do freelance work. Okay, Next one. All right, understand the company's brand and objectives. This is kind of once you've already gotten hired. This is what I would say is the biggest thing for my companies out of all the time. And it's actually one of the number one skills IT companies are seeking in 2021. Well, IT skills is actually down at like number 15. So that's pretty crazy. Get familiar with the company and how it runs. So at Lake Design, we run things in a very specific way. There's a certain amount of days that go by before we have an onboarding meeting, how many times we check in during the month, how long it takes to get a first draft of a logo, how long it takes before we start a website, what we need to do that, the processes, everything like that. I need the people that come in and work with me to understand those, to pay attention to the style of work we're doing, what it looks like, what we're trying to achieve, the way we talk to people, the tone. It's different between Get Booking and Lake. And when I hire someone, I really want them to enmesh themselves in that culture and to show up and do it how it needs to be done. This makes you indispensable to a company. If you can just slide into a company and just fit the bill, they are gonna, this is the biggest thing because it cuts the training time down by like half. So know the company you're going into and work to know how they work. Don't be afraid to ask questions and show initiative and try and get more information about the job. Don't be afraid to push buttons and to try and change things, but make sure you're working within the frame what is working for them and move slowly. Because a lot of the time, we've all gone through the process of kind of trying new things and making similar mistakes. So we've all kind of like experienced this, and sometimes we're a little bit unsure of whether we want to try new things. All right, next slide. Being resourceful and keep learning. So this also applies once you're in the role. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, which means Stack Flow. Who uses Stack Flow? Everyone uses Stack Overflow. Have you guys heard of it? Yeah. Every developer has an open tab to Stack Overflow. Basically, this is like where 90% of code lives online. So if you're having an issue or a problem and you need help with something, this is where you should go first to try to find advice on that issue before you go to your boss and say, I don't know what I'm doing. So come to your employers or solutions, not problems. This is a huge one. If you have an issue at work or you're stuck on something, before you come and say to me, Chelsea, I'm stuck on this, help me, try to come to me with some solutions first. I'm stuck on this. Here's 3 different things I can think of to fix it. What do you think is the best way forward? Because if you do that, you're showing me, okay, I see a problem, I'm trying to fix it. But if you come and you say, I'm having this problem, I don't know what to do next, I feel like, that's not what we're here for. You're here to make my life easier, and I'm here to help you learn. So it's a really great way to have that in your mind every time you're going into a job. Come to people with solutions, not with the problem. Even if you're not sure if your solution's gonna work at all, it just shows initiative. And this is the same thing about the first piece of homework, which is reaching out to people that are struggling with something. You see it, you could do something about it, and you're offering it to them. It's showing value up front. Next slide, Jonah. ASDA. Shout out to Daniel back there. Don't just work on your coding skills, learn soft skills too, which is communication, problem solving, being able to interact in a crowd, being able to have conversations with your teammates, being able to get along with every different kind of person in your company. This is so important, and it's more important than the actual code ability. When we hire people at Lake, we don't have a huge high level of, you need to know all of these things in order to be hired. You can know this much, and that is fine. If you have the right attitude, and I know I can teach you, and you're mentorable, and you're willing to listen and grow, and you have those soft skills developed, you will get a job. That's all that matters. Having the skills is important, but it is not as important as the soft skills it takes to be in an environment, to be with a team, to work with everyone. This is like one of the most important things you can develop. This is what's gonna get you hired for a tech job. Awesome. How are you guys feeling about the homework stuff so far? Awesome. Okay, so if I follow up with you all and I say, okay, remember the 3 things that I want you to do, who is willing to do it?
Actually, I think I already did one.
What is it?
Like reaching out to a company or like a store here that have trying to do something there.
Nice.
Yes, so the store is Dairy Queen. I know you know it probably. It's close to Swiss Chalet. And I noticed during the holidays there's not a lot of decorations going on, so I reached out to them and asked if I could do paintings for the windows, and they said yes.
Nice. That's awesome. Did they like pay you for this work, or was this in kind?
Yes, they did.
Nice. See, that's exactly it. Okay, what about LinkedIn? Does everyone have their LinkedIn filled out? Do they have their projects on there, their skills? Nice. And what about reaching out to the mentors for coffee? Is everyone willing to do that? Are you shaking your head no? Because that is not the right answer. If you don't know who to reach out to, we can help you find who to reach out to.
Somebody should do the Thai Express one though. It's like so annoying. Like I'm just like, okay, fine, I'll just go there. They're always like, no, it's not their number, but here's their number. And then it's like they talk so fast and just hang up because the gas station is always busy. And I'm like, okay, got it. And then I'm gonna go there and be like, I didn't get it.
That's great.
So anyone feel free to steal the idea and put the number on their website.
Okay, well, I'm going to follow up with everyone to make sure everyone has this part done. Does anyone have any questions for me? I'm just talking. Ask me stuff.
You said earlier that how you got into the field was you asked an employer to do some work for them and you asked them to pay you less than those.
Yeah.
Just so you, like, to show them like how like, dedicated and diligent you were to your work.
Yeah.
How did you try to stay motivated in that time, just knowing that okay, you're being paid less?
I guess the motivation for me was getting the job and securing it, knowing that I would get paid more. Yeah. And I would never recommend doing that for like longer than a month, even 2 weeks. Like we're not giving our services away for free. Offering discounts isn't something that I recommend. But if you're getting your first job in this, and it's for a company that you really want to work for, it shows that you're willing to do more for them and bring something to the table, and it's giving them the opportunity to test you out without incurring a lot of costs. Because from the business point of view, when we hire someone, it takes about 3 months before someone that we hire starts making the company money instead of costing the company money. So we're investing in that hire for 3 months, hoping that at the end of that 3 months, they're going to be up to par enough to be making the company money, not costing the company money. So it is an investment on both sides.
Yeah, that also makes sense because I've also been trying to, like I said, not work at Sobeys. Like, I currently work at Sobeys, so and it's terrible. So I'm trying to move out of that space and probably start pursuing a computer science degree. And most times, what I hear about is, they do not want to hire a student, which is understandable. Students are very volatile; their schedules are not easy to work around. So I started trying to get internships, and I got an offer, and they're like, "Oh, it's an unpaid internship," but I'm not trying to work for free. I would love to, but it's very difficult as a student because I have to balance schoolwork. I have to balance actual work that pays me so I can pay my bills. and then balance this one. So I was wondering if there's well, I'm pretty sure there isn't like a one size fits all solution, but
No, there's definitely not. And that's the thing, like internships that are unpaid, some people can afford to do that, sure. But I couldn't afford to do that. I was trying to pay my rent too and my school, and I was all by myself. Like that, sometimes you need to get the paid work, even if you're taking it at a little less in the beginning. But that what you're saying is true. So you want to get this job, but they don't want to hire students.
so I've applied to a couple of spots. I even recently had an interview, and the person in the interview liked me, but he's like the company doesn't hire students, so he can only put in a good word. He cannot make the final decision. So like they got back to me and they're like, oh, they don't want to hire students, but they told me to get back to them when I graduate. So I'm not sure if that spot still holds. So I started applying for internship, and now I'm being offered an unpaid one, and I don't really want to work for free at the moment.
And that's it, right? That's why some of these things, getting the portfolio started, making sure your LinkedIn's up to date, offering to do work, finding mentors and people to talk to in the industry, they're going to help you get your first paid job. They're going to put in good words with you across the island with different firms that, hey, this person's looking for work. Oh, have you heard of a developer? Yeah, I just talked to one the other day. He said he was looking for this. Most of the time, that thing with not wanting to hire students, you just finished a course. The real world experience is yet to come. It's an investment of time, money, resources on a business end. And we have to know that you're going to do what it takes, and you're going to find that flow, and you're going to be a part of the company, and you're going to invest in that. And the only way to know that is by seeing, hey, they've done work before. Oh, they found this issue with my company and they're willing to fix it. Oh, they offered to work at this much just to like show me that they got it and they want to do this. I'm seeing that fire in them. They want this job. I'm going to put in the energy if they're going to put in the energy, 100%. You just have to show up like that. And I'm not saying it works every single time. Of course it doesn't. But it will work. And networking will work. Any other questions for me? Anything? Yeah.
Your Get Booking website, you said it's also on the app?
Yeah.
Did you write
The current version of Get Booking's development, I have not touched one time, which I'm actually very proud to say. Yeah. I did help build the first one, a lot of it, probably 90% of it. But then we eventually grew bigger and ended up hiring specific people to build very specific parts of it. So we have a front-end developer, we have someone who's just works in Laravel, someone who just works in Vue, and got them to rebuild it from the ground up, completely standalone, just to have a very stable product. Yeah, and we recently just had 2 investors invest in us in the last 2 months, so that's pretty exciting too.
on the app?
Yeah.
Yes, this ties into what he mentioned. How do you navigate, like, let's say, for instance, let's say if he took the unpaid internship opportunity that was offered to him and he took it and he eventually got like an actual job, like the job he was looking for, and he's not being compensated, there is not his ability of working. How do you navigate that? How do you get to a point where you can say, I don't think this is working for me anymore, I want to switch without burning that bridge?
Like pay more money?
You just go straight to the boss.
I would say that is actually a very simple conversation. Money is an awkward topic, of course, but at the same time, it absolutely can't be, because that is how we define I'm putting this amount of time in and this is what I'm getting out of it. If you feel like that you deserve to be paid more for what you're doing, then I think it's just as simple as having that conversation. And that's part of the soft skills that like ASDA is teaching people, is how do you have difficult conversations. I've read an entire book on that exact thing, of just how do you talk about hard things like this? How do you have those hard chats with people about, okay, I've been working with you for a year, you're paying me $20 an hour, I really think I deserve more than this. How can I get to where I want to get to? And if it's, I want $25 an hour, okay, a $5 jump, I'm probably going to be like, ooh, okay, I see. Let's talk about how we can get to that point. Maybe we'll do incremental raises over the next 2 years instead of the next year. And it will require you to hit these specific milestones. And you can even come into the conversation with those milestones already figured out. Like, I will do A, B, and C and make sure that I'm helping the company move forward in this way if you will compensate me in this way. It just needs to be a fair trade-off. And if you're showing that, hey, what I'm doing is bringing the company money and I will continue to do this, then there's not really any argument there. You're just making a fair case. And I've had to have those conversations before too, where I've come to the table and said, hey, you're paying me this much, I think I deserve this much, and here's all the reasons why. And that's pretty hard to fight with.
And the bosses, they are receptive to that. They listen and they...
I've never had a problem with that.
Most people, they're like, are you sure? You know, stuff like that. They try to like kind of, you know...
I think are you sure is a way of saying, where's your evidence? Come with evidence. Yeah, show them why. Have it all prepared, like have a PDF printed out, put it in one of those like plastic things and be like, here. And that will show them how serious you are. Yeah.
There's the perception that like, so with ASDA, we have spoken to as many employers as we can in PI, and there's that perception that like students are lazy, students are entitled, and that is some of the barriers that I guess deprive employers from trusting students, and also because of the volatility of the labor market, most employers are not willing to like take their time to offer that extra support and mentorship to the students to help them grow. So I guess with your experience as an employer, like how do you find those dynamic, and what would your advice be? Which is mostly what you've been hounding on today, is kind of like having that proactive attitude and networking and all of that. But like, what would be your advice to us? You know, like to shift that culture of like, I don't know, that employers do have, and to, I guess, what can students do to be more proactive? What can students do to be more active, to be more like just to go out of their comfort zone?
Also, to add to what you said about the employers not working to hire students, I also think the whole I would work for you free that strategy, it may not be as efficient as it was back in the day. I have tried that. I remember there was a job fair and a couple software development. I remember specifically, it was Maximus, I think. I told them and I was like, okay, I understand that I'm a student and I'm a liability and all that, so I'm willing to work for, I was actually willing to work for free at that point.
I would never say to someone, I'm a student and I'm a liability. Step one. I'm just teasing, yeah.
I was trying to make a good impression, and I was at the job fair, and the dude is like, they don't really want to hire, even though it's not going to cost them money, it's going to cost them time to train. So they'd rather hire a co-op student because they make money off co-op students because the school pays them to hire students from the co-op program. So I was like, okay, that was when I knew it was a pretty tough spot to get into.
Yeah, and there's some companies this will work for, and there's absolutely some companies it will not work for. How big the company is depends on if it will work, I would say. So if it's a big company, don't try it. That's not really the way they work. But if it is a smaller company, like Lake Design, like Lift Media, if you meet a company that's like, they work with a very specific subset of clients, their team is like 5 to 10, it's something like that it probably is a good fit for. But it does depend who you want to work for. And following up with what Daniel was saying, how can you change how employers think? Well, I think as long as everyone keeps in mind that employers, when they're putting in their time into an individual that they don't know is going to work out or not, or stay or not, and it's a lot of training, all it comes down to at the end of the day is that person showing up and telling me that they can do this. If a student came up to me and said, I'm a student, but I am not a liability. I'm not a liability. That is not who I am. I'm going to kick ass every day. I'm going to work my face off for you. I'm going to make sure that I kill it. If I have a problem, I'll fix it. I'm going to make your life easier. That's really all that you can bring to the table is the attitude, the soft skills, the mentoring, the talking, the asking them out to coffee. If they say no the first time, say, okay, I understand you're not ready to hire me right now. Can we get coffee in 2 weeks? I'd love to talk to you about some of the work you're doing. And then maybe 3 months later, they'll give you a chance. It's about building relationships, really. At the end of the day, that's how you're gonna get your first job in this field. Yeah, some of you will go online and you'll find job postings and you'll fill them out and you'll get that job. That will work sometimes, but not a lot of the time, especially not on PEI. I'm saying that on camera. And somewhere on, like if you're in Toronto and there's tons of companies and that's the way it works, yeah, that will work for you. But here, it's about who you know, it's about who you're talking to, and that's all it's about. And I'm just saying it. Yeah.
That is very true. Like I remember when I was a student, I had to do two internships, and then at the end of it, I did get 2 job offers, and I had to pick the one that pays more, obviously. but I remember I had to put in 3 months of free work while I had a job and went to school, just to get what I wanted. But I was hanging out with the people, I had to go out with them, to do events and stuff, and to be very mature.
Yeah, and you have to invest your time in that.
Even though I wasn't getting paid, and then by the end of it, they were you belong. And I had to make a choice. And I was maybe I don't belong.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm definitely not saying it's fair, that's for sure. And that's why you want to find companies that you do really vibe with, people that you actually want to hang out with, and that if you were outside of work with these people, you would be like, I would have a beer with them. That's where you would like to get that job. Or a coffee. We don't all drink. We don't all drink coffee either. Or water. Yeah.
Yeah, great presentation. Just asking in terms of, because on PI there's a skills gap. So for students who are in IT and then they want to probably learn emerging technologies, for example, you mentioned IT right now is number 15. So how do you build your skills to be able to align and then compete with emerging technologies? So let's say artificial intelligence, blockchain technology.
Right.
Where can you find those resources to be competent?
Oh, on PEI, yeah. I would search online for a lot of those, but there is a lot of people on PEI doing machine learning. There's people on PEI doing AI. There's people on PEI doing 2D animation. There is so much really cool stuff happening here that is just kind of flying below the radar. Once you meet these people, you can get into their circles and also learn a little bit about what they're doing. I mean, someone that works for us, Sergio, he's just absolutely killing it with all the stuff he's doing with virtual reality right now. Not that anyone knows, not that he's ever talking about it, but he is killing it at learning this stuff. His name's Sergio, and he's one of our front-end developers, but he's doing this kind of in tandem. Yeah. So he's done some really cool stuff lately. There was some apartments that they were looking to sell during COVID, and they couldn't do walkthroughs, and they needed a way to do them. They were very high-end condos, so they were willing to pay for a way to do this, to sell them, even though no one could come see them. So they hired Sergio to create an entire virtual reality experience of walking into this condo with all the same flooring, paint, windows, furniture, everything. And you could just put on this VR headset, mail it to the customer, they would put it on and do the walkthrough that way, which is really freaking cool. So technology these days can literally be used for anything. Like, there is no right answer. Machine learning is great. Like, cool. VR is awesome. Yeah, AR is cool too. Building websites is my favorite thing. I'm in software right now, also enjoying that. There is literally no right answer. You can get a job in any of these fields. We need everyone. Everyone. Yeah, there is no shortage in any of them. Yeah, I would start with the basics though. HTML, CSS. Once you get that, you'll get it all. That's like the basic framework of everything.
I have two questions. One of them is, so for the students in, let's say, business administration, accounting, finance, and other disciplines that are not necessarily like computer science, what are the opportunities for them in the labor market? And then also maybe that one first, and then I'll ask the second one.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not something I generally hire for, so it's not something I know a ton about. But that being said, there is, again, networking and knowing the right people. The Empower PEI group by Ash Green, that one. There is job postings for assistants, for people to keep the books or just run the day-to-day. You can do it virtually, that kind of thing. They go up like every second day. That's something that you can get into if you're following those threads and you know the right people. It's really, again, networking on PEI is so important. Just putting yourself in front of the people and everyone that you're talking to, just telling them, hey, by the way, this is what I want to do, or I would really love a job in this, do you know anyone? And chances are that they do, and they will pass your name along.
A culture we're trying to create with ASDA is to get students to take initiatives instead of waiting stuff to come to them.
Yeah.
And so with respect to job finding and job search, if a student can't find a job, how would they go about creating one for themselves? So I'll put Francis on the spot, for example. He has created a very cool app called My PEI, and
Cool.
it's just about everything PEI, like navigating PEI as an international student, as an immigrant, as a resident of PEI. So like, how does he transform stuff like that into, building more experience for himself, building more networks for himself, and hopefully monetizing such a platform here in PEI?
Who are you working for? Who are you working for anybody right now?
Yeah, working for PEI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing tech stuff?
Yeah, we're developing like a health application for the clinic.
Nice.
Yes.
And this app, you just made it on your own?
Yeah.
Have you talked to Innovation PEI about it or Alcoa?
Not at the moment. We have to.
I would say start there. Talk to Innovation. This isn't something that they're going to fund you to build. You already built it. They're going to already be impressed by that. Talk to them and say, here's what I created. This is what I'm doing. I want a way to monetize it and for it to make money. What can I do with this to help the province meet their goals? And maybe they'll be like, hey, if you built this specific thing into it, it would really make sense for us. And we'll pay you to do that.
That doesn't work out to newcomers.
That's dope.
What's the innovation PEI's objective? As you said, maybe you'd be interested in a specific feature. So I haven't talked to them, but I will probably.
Right, so I can't speak for Innovation PEI, but I do know that they are interested in helping local entrepreneurs and businesses grow as long as it's supporting the province as well. So for example, if your idea has the potential to hire people in PEI to work for you, or it will somehow bring more tourists to the island, or it will somehow help generally grow the island more. I'm just being careful with what I say because I'm not part of Innovation PEI, so I can't speak for them. But then they're much more willing to listen and sit down with you and have that conversation of, again, it's the same thing if you're sitting down with a potential employer. Instead of sitting down and being, you know, what do I have to do and how much am I going to get paid? It's what can I do for you? Here's what I'm going to make happen in your life, and it's going to improve your business. And here's the money I'm going to bring to your company or your island when it comes to innovation to make it better. So you're really always pitching yourself. You're always trying to show that, like, if you choose me or you choose my product, I'm going to make things better in this way. It's just good to view everything like that, because then you're not really giving people a chance to be like, oh, no, I don't think I'll do this. It's a no-brainer. It's a win-win.
Right now, like, the gig economy is a thing, right? Like,
Absolutely.
it's huge. So, yeah, like, just kind of like encouraging more students to like create stuff for themselves.
Absolutely. That's how you get experience. That's how you get hired. You've shown that you can do that. You can handle that way of life. You do a service for a certain amount of money. Yeah. And you're kind of taking that stigma away too of, oh, students are lazy and students aren't going to work and I don't want to hire a student. You're taking that away because...
Why don't you think it's better if they have literally in school trying to...
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Students are not lazy. No, they're not.
It's a perception.
Yeah, it is, and they're like looking for people to like invest like 100% into their company. Like they're looking for people who like always want to work with somebody else kind of vibe. So that's like what's...
Yeah, and that's like a generational thing too. That's kind of a part of it, as we have to meet them where they're at as well. Yeah.
Just what Dan says right now, like, that's why I think, but I also think that students don't really go out to look for jobs. Like, when they are in degree, and me too, I was doing the same thing. I thought with the degree, I would get a job, and that was a BA. And even when I got my MBA, I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, right now I'm in BA, but so for sure, I just have to apply to get a job.
Right.
Steve doesn't go out to work, meaning that we're doing an MBA.
Yeah.
You definitely have to go out and look for people.
Yeah, you can't just apply and get the job. Unfortunately, especially it's on PI2, it is a lot about who you know. So that is a big part of it here, is just accepting that. And it is like, I would love for that to not be the way it is all the time, but it is the way it is. So we gotta adapt to what we're working with and make it work. Yeah.
So I just want to add on to what he said, which is very true, because as students, we have that perception that yes, once I graduate, I'll get this really nice job. I have like a certain GPA.
Yes, and that's the story we were told when we went to school. We would get this awesome job once we graduated.
So I just have a question, because for international students, when you come on the island and you've been here for like 4 years, most of the people in your network are basically students, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and then you hear about networking mixes and stuff like that. You go out there. What advice would you give to like a student to help them understand, like, because when you go, if it's your first time going for a networking event, it's you're not really sure what to say.
Oh, I'm still in that.
Yes. So how do you start that conversation with anybody in your room, or like make them see you as a potential?
I might have an answer to that question.
Okay.
Mike.
Hey, yeah.
Well, it only works if you're a CS student, but in my experience, if you want to try and build a network of like computer scientists, the two best methods: being friends with, find one professor you like and try and be friends with him. You only need one, you don't need all of them, just one that you can tolerate and try and be friends with him. Then the next step is, most schools, depending on depending on the school you go to, most schools have a lounge in the computer science school. Just sit there and listen. And if you see a conversation, you can hop into it. And then, like I recently made a friend who has worked at like a couple companies. He's a student, but somehow he's worked at a couple companies here on the island, which I find pretty interesting. And I had coffee with him one day, and he tried getting me into the company he was working at. But it didn't work, unfortunately, but at least he tried. So you can try doing that. Like, your professors are generally the best place to start, because they know most people, and Plus, they'll give you a recommendation letter if you're friends with them. Like, I just emailed one of the professors I can tolerate, and he's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll get to you then by the end of the day. And then I had a recommendation letter, and I've used it a couple times, so it works.
That's a great tip.
Sorry?
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say too, okay, let's say that, and yeah, that all works. Recommendation letters are great. Professors are awesome for connecting you with people. If you can get on that level with them, I never could, so it's okay if you can't. Exactly, they're just people. And same with, that's exactly it, yeah. And same with every owner of a business on PEI, they're all just people. So I would say that what you would do in these situations, like if you're walking into a networking situation, you want to really meet, like, I recently really wanted to meet the CEO of Insight, and I knew the event she was going to, and it was like my goal, and I was going to do this. And all I would say to do is ask them questions about them. Don't even think about talking about yourself. That is going to, they're not even going to know what's going on, because no one does that anymore. Just go and ask them about themselves, how their day was. Just start it like that. How's your day going? What do you do? How does that work? What's your favorite thing about that? What's really difficult about your job right now? Oh, are you guys looking for anybody? No, well, I just want to tell you, this is what I do. I really like your company a lot, so I'll give you my business card, and maybe we could chat sometime, and you could, tell me a little bit more about what you're working on right now. Just ask them question after question about themselves. Don't even insert yourself into it. It's all about them in every situation until you establish a rapport. But that only happens if they actually want that to happen. So you'll know that pretty quickly. Yeah.
And if you notice that you don't want that to happen, you don't force the relationship, right?
Yeah. No, I would never do that. I don't think you want to work or, really have relationships with people that you have to force a relationship with, ever, in any capacity. It's good to work with people that vibe with you.
Even if you really felt like, oh my goodness, this person would have definitely been my mentor, I would have loved, you have to let it go.
If it's not a good fit, it's probably good in the long run anyway. Like if they're not really excited about mentoring you, then I would say, they're not really worth your time either, because your time is important and you need to respect your time as well. And the whole frustrating part of being a student is that you're the ones that are coming to the table and having to ask all the questions and do all the work and prove yourself. But the person on the other end, if they see something in you, they'll show up too. And if they do show up too, that's when you got something. But if they're not willing to, it's not worth it. You're going to waste all your time and all your effort, and it's going to hurt. It's going to be like a bad relationship. Like, just not worth it. It's true. Yeah.
I just want to add, in terms of finding a mentor, and maybe the person is not how to complete that relationship. Oftentimes it's not really you, it's the other person. So the best thing is, I would say, just that person at the point in their lives when they are not really looking for what you are trying to offer. So the best thing is look for someone.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't go that way, but just
never regret.
Just keep your eyes on what you have to offer.
Yeah, really, at the end of the day, it's never personal. Yeah, ever. Because we all are just doing our best to get through this world and have good experiences with other people. And sometimes you get along with people and sometimes you don't. And you don't want everyone to like you. That's not also good. You want to have, be you and show people you, because when you do that, they're going to like it, and then they're going to want that around. Yeah.
Also be very intimidating.
It's very.
Yeah,
It's so intimidating. Yeah.
Something I try to do is go to where they go to and do what they do. So, for example, playing soccer, basketball, and really about the professors, I see a lot of business professors do play basketball, and especially professors in the arts, political science, that they do play basketball. So I just go there and I saw that I play, and they just love it, right? They love it, and then just kind of getting out of your own comfort zone, because meeting them in their workplace is they're only focused on work. And also when you go to a networking event, everyone is trying to pass business cards around, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, and like if you don't play sports, then I guess like just asking someone out for coffee is the best way. It's very disarming. You're in a coffee shop, you're just two people. Yeah.
On behalf of ASDA and all of us, thank you so much, Chelsea, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And if you have any questions or there's anything anybody wants to chat about like after, or wants to like meet somebody in a certain field in tech, just let me know. We know a lot of people in tech.